YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and the NFL is back. Here we are in week one. I got my power rankings, ranking teams from 32 to 1 every single week of the NFL season, every Tuesday in season. Basically, teams perform well, they go up in my power rankings. They win, they go up. They lose, they go down. It's that simple. It's not end of the year predictions, playoff predictions, anything like that. I love doing these. I love my power rankings here in season. So join us for other content as well. Weekly picks with the boys every Tuesday night. Score predictions for every game every Wednesday. All kinds of content. We got you covered. Twitter, we got you covered as well. You see in pink on the left, super followers, bonus content on Twitter. But Twitter will be live talking during games. A lot more going on as well. We have a picks league you see above me. Multiple leagues, actually. Multiple big-time prizes from the GLD shop. I'm repping some of their stuff right now. Real gold. They got chains, a bunch of different options. NFL pendants. I got the Rams one on right now. Sick stuff there. And I have a code GOAT for 33% off. So already affordable. Then you plug in that code. Very affordable. So any link you're looking for, the Picks League, the GLD shop, anything, Twitter, down, pin in the comments. It'll direct you in the right spot. A lot of info on Twitter as well. But don't forget to like, subscribe to notifications on, join us for everything here. Very important. If you want to pause the video to read all this, that would be ideal there. This is for all the picks, all the info, benefits, prizes to the Picks League. You also find more info on Twitter. But on to the power rankings for week one, heading into week one. Unfortunately, the Seahawks will start at 32, a team that's kind of been dropping for me heading into the season as we approach the season here. So how these power rankings are working for this week, since everyone's 0-0, it's how I think teams are today, not how I think they'll be in week 2, 3, 4, 10, playoffs, Super Bowl. I have recent full season predictions out. You'll find them on the channel. Those are out. You'll see all my predictions on who I think will be the best at the end of the day in every category, basically. But right now, how I think teams are today, going into week one. And again, it's not end of the year predictions. If you win, you go up. You lose, you go down. If you perform really well, really impress me on the field, you'll definitely go up. If you're streaking, you go streaking. The team's going to go up. Don't want to streak in your pants, though. That'd be bad, obviously. So you'd be going in the opposite direction for that one. But Seahawks are in at 32. Really worried about what I've seen from them. Don't want to base too much off of the the preseason. But yeah, a little worried about them when you look at the quarterback position, the offensive line, very important stuff. The youth on defense. So I'm going to start them off at 32. I mean, if they win right off the bat, and if they keep winning, they'll go up. They won't stay at 32. So it's pretty hard for people to complain on how I work my power rankings. But people, I'll see it in week one, I guess. People still find a way, but that's all right. I got the Texans at 31, not starting off at 32, which most people probably have. But still kind of a work in progress. I'm very curious to see Davis Mills this year, and if he clicks with Brandon Cooks. I'm excited about Dameon Pierce. If the offensive line's fully healthy, it actually might be decent. It might be better than expected. Defensively, definitely still a work in progress. Like the cornerback group, like some young pieces here and there, but they could struggle just because they're not nowhere near complete yet. What they're trying to do, I think they're heading in the right direction. And they got a lot of young guys, so they could struggle a little early on here. I got them at 31. The Giants will be at 30, which I probably moved down a little bit, since maybe the last time we talked on where teams would rank. I just still worry about their offense quite a bit. I know they bring in Brian Daboll, which is fantastic. Daniel Jones can improve a little bit. I don't expect big improvements, but we'll see. If he does and they win, they'll go up in the power rankings. It's pretty simple. Can they stay healthy? I like their weapons too. I like their tackle duo. Defensively, they got some tough dudes on defense, but I think their defense could actually take a step down. They're losing Patrick Graham. They bring in a good defense coordinator, Don Martindale, but do they have the pieces to run his defense yet? He wants to blitz a lot. He wants to run man coverage. Don't really have the corners for that. There's some injuries at the edge position starting with Thibodeau there, so we'll see. I do like the direction they're heading. The staff they brought in and some of the young pieces they have talent, just the offense has got to put points up on the board. They'll play a tough opponent in the Tennessee Titans in week one. So if they win that, they're really going to go up. So that's just really what it comes down to. And that's my favorite part of my power rankings too. It's like almost like it's on your team. It's not on me. It's on your team. 29, I'm going to go with the Bears. Which maybe it's a slight bump up to where everyone had them. Maybe just, for most, or maybe I'm a little higher than where people have them. Other people, I'm not really sure. But, pretty good preseason, and that'll explain why maybe thoughts on the Bears are a little bit higher, still not high, but The defense could be solid. Fields can be a dangerous weapon if he continues to progress, and the team could be better in general, obviously, if he continues to go there, continues to improve. But, yeah, maybe lacking some help at the offensive line and receiver positions. Maybe that defense won't be as good as it once was as well. They're kind of in that rebuild stage too, still a little bit of a work in progress. They'll play the Niners in week 1 there, and a win there would absolutely boost them. 28, I'm going to go with the Jets, probably a team that calmed down a little bit over the last month or so, because I thought they could be sneaky because I like that, I like how well they're coached. I like the defensive talent they have. They added weapons on offense. The offensive line's better, just really on the quarterback play, whether it's Wilson or Flacco. I don't know if I feel one's better than the other. Like if one's in, it's like, okay, they're better than 28. If the other one's in, they're better than or worse than 20. No, I'm kind of just sticking them here. They could be a little sneaky. Like I said, some talent, improved, good coaching. I just still don't see enough from that offense yet, which is extremely important in today's NFL. And I like their defense, I like their weapons, but they're all so damn young. They're still learning. They could have kind of their struggles, their hiccups here and there. So I got the Jets at 28. I got the Lions at 27. The Detroit Lions, who should be improved this year because they've been drafting very well. A lot of these young players are continuing to get better, we would think, because they're good young players and they're developing. So that's kind of what they're banking on, those guys stepping up, and Jared Goff stepping up because the talent around him's better, and the coaching's got to step up as well. I question a lot of decisions they made in game last year, but that's kind of a wipe it clean, start this year. We'll see how they do. But that's where it's tough. They're so young that I think they can have struggles some week. I think they can look pretty damn good some weeks. I think there's going to be weeks where the defense gives up defense is, still a work in progress. I think it'll be better, but I still think there's weeks where maybe they lose in a shootout, because the offense did so well, the defense gave up so many points, so I got them at 27. I really loved their drafts the last 2 seasons. Brad Holmes, big believer. I can't wait to see these young players in action, see where they can get to. Even to start the year, some of those guys could really step up right away. Falcons at 26, a little bit on the rise for this team. I keep talking about they're such a unique team that they might be tough to game plan against. They're not the best team on paper, but Mariota, his scrambling ability, their kind of unique running style with Cordero Patterson and company, and then you have these receiver/tight end option when it comes to Pitts, the receiver/tight end option, but the big receiver in Drake London, the big body guys that teams won't be able to match up in man coverage. They're going to have to run zone, and then will both those guys be locked up in a zone? Will they be able to expose that? Arthur Smith, I think people forget he's a really good offensive play caller, designer as well. So they could be a little sneaky. I think most people are kind of putting them at the very bottom, which I had them there at one point. Maybe a little better than that. I do worry about the defense. I like the defense coordinator and Dean Pease. I like the cornerback duo. I love me some Grady Jarrett. Other than that, some major holes here and there, even though they added some young players to eventually make groups better, like the edge group. But will it actually be better this year, right away? When will it be better? So that's kind of the question there with the Atlanta Falcons. We're at 26. The Jags at 25, which I almost wanted to put higher because I think I preached it all year. Like I think all offseason, I think the Jags could be sneaky. I think they can be I'm not predicting it. They can be a sneaky playoff team. So I believe, but I think again, my power rankings is not end of the year prediction. It's starting right now. This is where the Jags got to start, in my opinion. It might be a little higher than some people, have. I think some people maybe have the Lions, the Jets ahead of them, the Giants perhaps. I don't know, but the Jags. Doug Peterson. I'm a fan of Trevor Lawrence. People doubting him a little too much because he was a rare type of prospect. They got better in terms of their weapons. Defensively, they could struggle here and there because they're so young, they're so new, but it's a unique defense that'll bring some interesting pressure on some quarterbacks. So Jags are a team that I think could climb these power rankings as the year goes on. This is where I want to start them. I think they're a very sneaky team. I probably said that 5,000 times throughout this offseason. So could they be this year's Bengals? I don't think they're going to reach the Super Bowl, but who knows? 24, we're going to go with the Browns. This would not be the case if Deshaun Watson was at quarterback. He's not at quarterback till way later in the year, so this is based on where I think teams are right now. I love the Browns' defense. They easily have a top 10 defense, but that offense could really struggle between the quarterback play of Brissett and the receiver group there. Teams are going to stack the box more than ever because at least in the beginning of last year, they kind of thought, Baker was good the year before, so we got to kind of fear the pass a little bit. Now it's just straight up stack the box, and The Browns could still do damage because the run game is so good, but it's just going to be tough for them. I think the defense is going to have to do a lot, which they could. The defense alone could win some games. They're at 24. I got the Patriots at 23, which might be lower than expected. Just as of today, right now, I don't love where the Patriots are at. I think they lost some pieces. They look like almost a little worse on paper compared to last year, which they could prove me wrong with that, but that's how it kind of looks at this time, and you kind of worry about the offensive, the play calling mainly, with their coaching situation there. And the defense, what defense are we going to get? Because there's a stretch of the season last year that looked like the best defense or a top 3 in football, and at the end of the year, they looked pretty bad, and it kind of looked like how they should have been on paper. So I think maybe we're more likely to get that defense. They'll play the Dolphins first. That's just a major game. It's a huge game. If they win that, it would be huge, and it'd be kind of take away some of those feelings on the Patriots right off the bat. So starting them at 23, team that made the playoffs last year. 22, we're going to go with the Commanders. A lot on Wentz here. Which Wentz are we going to get? Probably an inconsistent one, but he does fit the Commanders' offense coming in here day one because they already had RPO-type play style in place, and that's what Wentz likes to do. Like a team like the Colts had to kind of add that in right when Wentz got in there. So a little different, actually. Actually fits the Commanders a little bit more. They upgraded their weapons. Offensive line's interesting because I thought it was going to be bad last year. It was actually pretty solid. So are we going to continue that solid play from that offensive line this year? It's a little bit up in the air. Looks a tiny bit different. Defensively, they're missing Chase Young right away, so that kind of played a factor here as well. Which defense are we going to get? Because they have the opportunity to be very good, but they weren't very good, not even close. Last year, did get a little better as the season went on, though. They're at 22 to start. 21 to be the Panthers, which probably, I talk about the Jags being the sneaky team of the AFC. I say the Panthers are the sneaky team of the NFC. They could legit contend for the playoffs. I mean, I think the Commanders could as well, teams like that. Baker playing against his old team, the Browns, week 1, 21 versus 24. Very excited for that. I believe in Baker as long as he's healthy. They have weapons. He's got to stay healthy. Defense, they got some weapons out there as well. Coaching, offensive coaching is kind of a big question. They're going to start here because they ended last year. Well, not just because of that, because it's a new year, but they did end last year very cold. It is a different mainly quarterback, so it kind of makes a different team. So we'll see. But I got them at 21 to start. Big game for Baker, the Panthers against the Browns. Steelers at 20. Quarterback play is going to be a question. I keep saying I think Trubisky will be a little bit better than where he was in Chicago, but I'm still not a full believer. I do feel maybe a little more comfortable, though, if that makes sense, to where I was. Like, I thought it was kind of a disaster quarterback situation, with Trubisky and Pickett before, but now they both making me a little more comfortable. But is it enough? Offensive line could very much struggle, could arguably be one of the worst in football, so I worry about that. But they have weapons. They have weapons at the receiver position. They have weapons at the running back position, tight end as well at Freiermuth. They have a great coaching staff, and I think the defense will kind of get a little bit back on track this year because last year they were way off. They had pass rush, but really relying on that, kind of Watt, Hayward, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. The run defense was horrendous. I think the run defense will be a little bit better. Do they have enough in there to make it a lot better? But the defense should be much better than it was last year because it really wasn't good. It didn't really feel like a Mike Tomlin defense. So the defense, that is, I should say. But yeah, got them at 20 to start the year. It's really on the offensive line play and the quarterback play for the Steelers to sneak back into playoffs. 19, I got the Dolphins. Feel like a really good team. To me, this is where it takes a big step up. Top 19 teams feel like legit playoff teams. Steelers always sneak in. The Panthers could be sneaky. Commanders, Patriots, Browns, if they do okay, and then they get Watson back. The Jags, I keep calling them a sneaky team. But I think the top 19 teams feel like today they could be playoff teams. So the Dolphins, obviously get better. We would think because of Mike McDaniel and the coaching staff, obviously the offensive coaching staff mainly. We got to see it in action. The offensive line should be better. Tua Tagovailoa should be better. We got to see it in action. But they had Tyreek Hill on top of Jalen Waddle. They had Cedric Wilson as well. Mike Gesicki in there. That receiver unit definitely will be better. Running back group, kind of a deep group. We'll see how it is. Defensively, I'm not worried about them defensively. Very solid group. They know how to get after the quarterback. When it comes to pass rush, the old-fashioned way or the blitz. So excited to watch the Dolphins. Big rival game against the Patriots, their division game. They handled the Patriots in the past, last year especially. Let's see if they can do it again. It's a game where it's like a must-win right off the bat. Usually don't have many must-wins off the bat because it's just week 1. But the Dolphins got to keep rolling against the Patriots. If they lose that one, it's like, okay, what do we got going here? We can't have too many takeaways, but so that's just a major game there to start. Cardinals at 18 on paper. I think they might be a little bit less than what they were last year because they lose Chandler Jones. They didn't really make key additions to defense. Offense, they had Hollywood Brown, but right now, again, we're ranking these based on how teams are today. DeAndre Hopkins is out for 6 weeks, but they got some young, talented players led by Kyler Murray that could actually continue to improve. He kind of needs to improve in those big games, but he could do that. Very realistic, so that could make them better. So we'll see how they are. Maybe they're early portion of the season team like they were the last couple of years, and then they were 1 for a bit in the power rankings last year. They came from around this range to 1 for a bit, so maybe they can very well do the same exact thing. You just got to win. But I think the big question is, how will they be? Smaller question, how will they be against DeAndre Hopkins? The big question is, how will they be in the big games on the stretch of the season? So, and how's this defense going to be? So it didn't really feel like it got better. Lost Chandler Jones. I'm intrigued, though. They've given some different looks in training camp, 4-3 looks. That actually could be their trump card there that that can make them better than expected. So we'll see. It's a team I'm very curious to watch this year for the reasons I explained. Can they close out the season? But are they going to start the same way? Are they still that dominant of an early season team? Have teams figured out a game plan against them? How will they be without Hopkins? How will Hollywood Brown be with Kyler Murray? How will Kyler Murray be on that contract? How will Kingsbury be? Big questions there for the Cardinals. I'm excited to watch them. 17 going to go with the Cowboys. Kind of weird seeing them, lower than 16 in the top portion of teams. But, yeah, they got a little bit worse on paper in the offseason. Obviously more losses than additions. And they've been killing the drafts. But I wasn't in love with their draft this year. But it could just end up being a very good draft like the last ones. But I knew those last ones were very good drafts. That's a little bit of the difference. But they got some solid players in there, I suppose. But, yeah, then Tyrone Smith going down definitely played a factor there. And then, missing some of the players they had last year. James Washington getting hurt. I thought that was a pretty good replacement or addition there. But so it's been tough. They'll start with the Bucs week 1. I mean, if you beat the Bucs in week 1, which they almost had them last year, if they beat the Bucs in week 1, I mean, they are soaring up from 17, even though we don't like to have too much movement off just 1 week, but that'd be major. That'd be a major one there. So they're going to start at 17. They're going to start the Vikings at 16, who, got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They get a new coaching staff. We expect that offense to be pretty solid. The offensive line should improve. It's really about staying healthy. Some key guys in defense been beat up the last couple of years. Thielen on offense, Cook maybe only missed a few games the last, but if we could see him finish a whole season, that'd be great. But the Vikings got talent, be out just about going out there, staying healthy and executing there. They play the Green Bay Packers in week 1. And the Vikings are home, and they kind of have that tough game plan factor because what is this new Vikings team? We don't know much about them yet. They didn't play anybody in preseason, so they have an opportunity there in week 1 against their biggest rival and biggest competition, the NFC North and the Packers. So excited to watch that one. They are at 16. 15 can be the 49ers, which starting in week 1, it's more of that because they can end up being a lot better than this at the end of the day. That makes sense. But, coming in week 1 with an inexperienced quarterback who I believe in, I just think he'll kind of be up and down a little bit. The interior offensive line really scares me a bit. Will they be able? They'll still be able to run the ball effectively, especially with Lance in there. But will they be able to be as dominant because of the interior offensive line? And then defensively, Jimmy Ward going to be out for at least 4 weeks. They've had some guys beat up throughout training camp. Not really worried too much about that outside. I know Ward was dealing with the hamstring injury, if I'm not mistaken. Jimmy Ward was the hamstring. Charvarius Ward, also dealing with some things as well. So stay healthy. Hopefully some quick progression development from some of these young guys. Lance, Banks, Burford for interior offensive line. So there's some questions there. But this is where I feel comfortable with them starting at 15. They'll play the Bears in week 1, which is one that you expect them to win, but it is week 1. Mysterious things happen. 14 is going to be the Eagles, who feel improved. It's just really going to be on the quarterback play of Jalen Hurts. Mainly his consistent passing, consistency of his passing game. That'd be the big one. They got a great offensive line. They got weapons. They had a big-time player in A.J. Brown. Defensively, they got talent everywhere. Just going to go out, just see if they could start stronger than they did last year because they're a little sloppy last year. But go out and execute there. Don't make their defense try to win games for them. But they should be better this year. I like that roster, so we're going to start with them at 14, and they'll play number 27, the Detroit Lions, here in week 1. So you expect them to take care of business. Could the Lions be sneaky, though? 13 is going to be the Saints. Saints and Eagles kind of in the same boat. I think these are pretty complete rosters. Maybe they don't really wow in a whole lot of spots. You don't want to say anywhere because they do somewhere. Saints, Kamara, Michael Thomas if he's healthy, the secondary, Cam Jordan, the Eagles, that offensive line, A.J. Brown, players like that. But pretty mainly when you think of those teams, you think bounce, deep, across the board, talent. Should be well coached, at least in some spots. Kind of similar teams there. I'm going to start with the Saints at 13. A little more experience on that team. Some questions with Winston, just like Hurts. I'm going to trust Winston a little bit. I don't want to compare two teams because we're comparing 32 teams here. But my point is they're kind of similar teams, so they just kind of ended up in the same range here. So I'm going to start with the Saints at 13. I don't want to, it doesn't mean anything, last year or this year, but I'm remembering week 1 last year, they destroyed the Green Bay Packers. Is that a thing for the Saints? Are they're gonna come out and play the Falcons? What are they gonna look like here, especially without Sean Payton though? So we'll see. That's what I'm curious about with the Saints, and they need to stay healthy. That's kind of been a big thing. 12 is gonna be the Titans. I actually might have moved them down a spot or two because the Harold Landry loss. That's a major loss. Their big time pass rusher off of the edge, not with them this year. Not only week 1, which we're ranking teams about here, but the whole year. So that's pretty tough. I still like that defense. It's an underrated defense, well coached. Some studs offensively. It ends up being a pretty good offense in the regular season, but it almost feels like teams are game planning for them a little bit better every step of the way here. Will that be the case? Stack the box. Can Tannehill go out and win games? In the regular season, he seems to be able to do so, but they'll play the Giants in week 1. You expect them to be able to take care of business, but who knows? It's week 1, 12 versus 30 there, so we'll see. Titans still a very solid team. They'll be fighting for that. I have a feeling that the AFC South winner is going to be in, and the loser might just miss the playoffs. The second place team, because the AFC, and they both can make it. Very, very realistic. Speaking of the AFC South, here's the Colts, but it's just so tough between the two. If Harold Landry didn't get hurt, I'd probably have the Titans. I would have the Titans ahead. But they're so damn close. The Colts, have that running game. They should have improved the passing game having Matt Ryan. I wish the receivers outside of Michael Pittman were a bit better. Guys like Alec Pierce can step up, but I wish it was better for sure. Offensive line, maybe not quite as good as it was a couple years ago, slowly going down, but they're so well coached, especially in the run game. They open up some gigantic holes there. But something to monitor there. Defensively, I keep talking about it. It's the thing I'm probably the most curious about. Colts defense here, for them is because going from Eberflus to Gus Bradley. I like Eberflus better. Bradley's defense becomes a little predictable. Maybe it won't be with the Colts here. So I think it's a step down, but the talent level seems to be better. You had Stephon Gilmore. I think, guys like Kwity Paye, Deo Odengbo, they're going to improve. They're going to get better. You already have a star player like DeForest Buckner in there, Shaq Leonard in there, Kenny Moore. And then safety, Blackman back. They draft Nick Cross. So they should be better because the players are the most important. So I'm just curious to watch that defense there. So I got the Colts at 11. We'll see how Matt Ryan is away from the Falcons. That's pretty weird too. Can't wait to watch it. And they'll play the 31 Texans, which they're the biggest favorites spread-wise, line-wise in week 1. So we'll see if they take care of business there. On to the big top 10. I got the Las Vegas Raiders at 10. You believe it or not, they are the worst ranked, weird to use worse with the Raiders, but worst ranked AFC West team on these power rankings here heading into week 1, and they're at 10. They're in the top 10. So that kind of gives you an idea of the AFC West. Raiders, very good ball team there. Not worried about the offense at all. I'm worried about the offensive line, actually. The offensive line's pretty rough, but in the offense in general, the way they can produce, I'm not really worried about it. McDaniels gets that run game going. They already have a good run game led by Josh Jacobs. But then the pass game kind of just it should be solid by default. Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, guys like this. So I'm very excited to watch that. Defensively, they're interesting because there's a lot of spots where they can get better. They're not really terrible anywhere, but there's a lot of spots where they can get better. Really. But that edge group, the edge duo, is so good that their defense, that's why it's going to be a weird defense. There's going to be weeks where their defense looks all world because that edge group just caused major problems for a quarterback. And they're gonna look great. There's gonna be weeks where maybe teams are able to slow those guys. I don't know if you're ever gonna stop them completely, Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, but slow them down, and you may be able to expose the corners. I'm not worried about Mareg, but he might be in the back end by himself with Abram, up in the slot. But you get my point. So you might be able to. It's pretty much the edge group: Denzel Perriman, Mareg. Those are the guys I fully trust. Outside of that, some okay guys here and there. So the defense is a little bit of a question. Offensive line a little bit of a question, but they got some crazy talent, crazy units here and there. And they should be a dangerous team because they kind of already were, and it feels like they got better. So they're 10. Ravens, I'm going to go at number 9. They're healthy right now, so that looks pretty good for them. Excited to watch Lamar Jackson back. I think the NFL world in general has missed Lamar Jackson, some of the talented players for the Ravens that have been out. Ronnie Stanley back. Offensive line should be better. Question at the receiver position, but they have weapons in general, though. Defensively, I'm curious to watch the defense because they're kind of going away from their old man coverage blitz, a lot of zero blitz, scheme. Kind of going away for that, going more zone coverage. They had some coverage safeties. They're not particularly super strong at the edge group, though, which needs to be stronger in a less blitz scheme. So I guess that's the question. Defensive front's always stout, good stopping the run. Are they as good as they were in the past, though? So it's weird. It's definitely different. Secondary and coverage, like zone coverage-wise, should be better. Well, the corners have been so used to running man, so we'll see how they do in zone. But I'm just very curious because they changed it for the better, getting prepared for teams like the Bengals, who they've struggled with, more teams than that. But so I'm very curious to see how it adjusts, how it looks there. I like the adjustments. We'll see. We'll see it in action. They'll play the Jets in week 1. Could be Flacco, could be Wilson, but 9 versus 28. We're on the top 8. I got the Denver Broncos at 8. Love this roster today. Russell Wilson, you got to think this is the healthiest he's been. Probably the healthiest he will be. And that's not a knock on him because every quarterback's that way. This is the healthiest for the most part. They should be right now because they're all going to be taking hits during the year. But so this is we got to feel very good right now, healthy Russell Wilson, because last year he was injured. Even when he was playing, he felt like he wasn't right. So you think this is where he can play his best ball here heading into week 1. So I feel really good about the Broncos. Love the run game. Offensive line looks solid. They have the weapons. Defensively, Vic Fangio is such an elite defensive coach that we'll see the difference with and without him, but they have such good talented players there, that they should be solid. And it's just about, and again, they're healthy right now. It's a really good team when they're healthy because you got Chubb on the field, Gregory on the field, Russell Wilson, these guys. So Hamler, Judy, Cortland Sutton, so they got to stay healthy, but it's a very talented team across the board. My favorite thing about them, besides some of the unique pass rushers they have on defense, they got some unique guys there where they can use Chubb and Gregory as normal edge rushers, but they can use whether it's Baron Browning or Nick Bonito with those guys and just find unique ways to generate pressure. Love that. But my favorite thing about the Broncos is that I cannot figure out if they're going to be a better pass or a run team. And that is great, to have that. So excited to watch them this year. Hopefully Russell Wilson, stays healthy, pans out for them. Number 7 is going to be the Chargers. So you see the AFC West teams in the top 10 here. The Chargers, a little disappointing last year where they ended things, but should be much better this year. I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert. He has that wow potential. And not really potential. He already kind of has it, but it can get even better. Could be an MVP-type quarterback. Offensive line should be solid. Right tackle, a little bit of a question. But they have the weapons. They got to catch the ball better this year. They got to make less mistakes than last year. Running game should be solid. Eckler got to stay healthy. Defensively, they should have got better. Really deep in the secondary. J.C. Jackson could miss a little bit of time, though. That's tough. But pretty damn good pass rush led by Bosa and Mack. Got to stop the run better. We're pretty bad. They were pretty bad in that category last year. Got to be better because you cannot win big games, big championship-style football if you cannot stop the run. They should be a little bit better there. 6 going to be the Green Bay Packers, which they lost Devontae Adams, so their offense takes a hit. Maybe there's a little more questions with the offensive line, maybe health of the offensive line in the past. A few years ago and forever, it felt like no question the offensive line. Elite offensive line. Amazing, no question. So a little bit more questions, but the good thing is they get Elgin Jenkins, Dave Bakhtiari back. Looks pretty good right now. Just the options in the passing game, a little of a question. The running game should be strong. Defensively, should be a pretty damn good defense there. They add to the interior defensive line around Kenny Clark. I'm excited to watch Rashawn Gary progress even further. They got Jair Alexander back. They have a strong secondary. So this linebacker group looking good too. Excited to watch Quay Walker alongside Devondre Campbell. Very strong team all the way through. I guess the question was how productive will the offense be in the passing game. They have Rodgers, but without Devontae Adams there. So I'm going to start the Packers at 6. 5, I'm going to go Bengals, defending AFC champions. Very deep, balanced, talented roster all the way through. and they got better. We think they got better looking at the offensive line. I'm curious to see that in action. Did they actually get better there for run blocking for Mixon, pass protection for Joe Burrow? Can't wait to see it. We know they have their receiver group defensively. Very technically sound defense, very smart defense, well-coached defense. Should be able to continue where it left off last year. So I got the Bengals starting at 5, one of the better, more balanced rosters in football. They'll play the Steelers rival game, 5 versus 20. 4, we're going to go with the Bucks. Yes, some injuries in the offensive line where they lost 2 guards. They lost 2 guards when they add Shaq Mason, so it feels like they only lost 1 guard, but then Jensen goes down. And then the question of would have Stinney started or not. I don't know if it's that major of a loss. It's mainly missing Jensen there, I should say. The receiver unit's loaded. They have Tom Brady still. Running back group's looking good, led by Leonard Fournette. Defensively, they got options across the D-line, everywhere, adding Keem Hicks, Logan Hall. They have the pass rush. They have the blitz ability from the linebackers, and the secondary is healthy right now. So the Bucs, very talented team. It could be the best in the NFC at the end of the day. They'll play the Cowboys, number 17. Was that Sunday Night Football here in Week 1. 3 is going to be the Chiefs. Arguably the best offense in football, arguably the best player in all of football, and Patrick Mahomes. The offensive line was elite last year, and they could even be better this year. So excited to watch that. I'm excited to watch the weapons they have because they don't have Tyreek Hill, but they have more options. They're healthy right now. Juju Smith-Schuster, looking to be healthy. Marquez Valdes-Scantling looking to be healthy. These are great things there. They have more options than just that. Edwards-Helaire is healthy. They have a star player and Travis Kelce out there as well. Defensively, I think they're going to try to add a little bit more zone coverage to everything. You lose Tyrann Mathieu, but you might have more options in the secondary, more progressing options, which could be good. You have more, pass rush with Karlaftis and Dunlap, and then you have Nick Bolton on his second year, who was a monster last year. So add Justin Reed at the safety position. So I'm excited where this team's actually heading. At first it was like, they're heading the right direction. And I think yes, I really think they are. So. And they know how to draft, so you should be confident that they are no matter what. So they're going to start at number 3. Number 2 is going to be the Buffalo Bills, and we'll reveal number 1. I'll talk about both of them. I'm starting the Rams out at 1 because this is a power rankings, and you can see my full season predictions. The Bills fans, if you didn't see it, you'll probably like what I got there. Spoiler, it was my Super Bowl team. This is power rankings going into Week 1. I think, right now today, I think it's safe to say that the Rams, defending Super Bowl champs, because they're defending Super Bowl champs, but they're worthy of that 1 spot right now where they are today because they're just as talented. Today they did lose Von Miller, Darius Williams. They add Troy Hill back. OBJ not going to be in there. He wasn't in there for most of the Super Bowl game. Either they have Allen Robinson, now they add him. Some young players stepping up, perhaps. Cam Akers wasn't there Week 1 last year, things like that. So it just made sense for me to start the Rams at 1 because they're worthy. They're defending Super Bowl champs. We're talking about heading into Week 1. The Bills, extremely deep roster, real good roster. Josh Allen could be the best player in football at the end of the day. Aaron Donald could too. It's about the Rams' best player there. Excited about the James Cook addition for the Buffalo Bills. They have the weapons. Offensive line, I'm curious. They had Saffold. Guys like Spencer Brown maybe getting better. Deion Dawkins getting better. But last year, the fans were ripping the offensive line in first half of the year, more than first half of the year probably. It was struggling. It kind of was. It really was. And then all of a sudden, end of the year, playoff, boom, totally different offensive line. So which one are we going to get here in Week 1? So I'm actually curious about that. Curious about them without Brian Daboll. I predict them to do very well, saying the least there this year. So you can see, I don't think, when I question those things, I don't think it's a bad thing or going to be a bad thing. It's just we're going to have to wait and see. But defense looks very strong. Don't have Tre'Davious White to start the year, but secondary feels a little deeper there. Pass rush group feels better. Von Miller, young guy stepping up. Gregory Rousseau. I'm excited about Tremaine Edmonds. I was a big Tremaine Edmonds guy coming out of Virginia Tech, and I thought he was a raw prospect. We might not see his best ball for a bit compared to other rookies or other young guys. And, he's been a little hot and cold, but I think this is his year, actually. I think this is kind of it makes sense that it's his time now. So I'm curious to watch that guy this year. So we'll see if he takes off because he was kind of supposed to be in the same boat as Roquan Smith, same draft class. And it's not surprising to me, that one's a bit better than the other one because Edmonds is supposed to be taken off about now, around this range. So that's just a player I'm just extremely excited to see where he can get to this year on a contract year. But we're going to start with those defending Super Bowl champs at 1. And hey, one plays two Thursday night football. Almost forgot to mention that. It's Bills at Rams. So spoiler, if the Bills beat the Rams, they will be one in my week 2 power rankings. If the Rams, not so much a spoiler, beat the Bills in that Thursday night game, they will remain at 1 in my power rankings. So it's pretty simple there. Again, you win, you go up, you lose, you go down. That's how it's going to work here. That's how it should be. They're weekly power rankings here. But yeah, check us out on Twitter. A lot going on there. Super followers will get power rankings in the, as season goes on, for quarterbacks and rookies eventually. So that's pretty cool. Check out the GLD shop. Use code GO. There's a link pinned in the comments for anything you need, including that picks league as well. But that'll do it for the week 1 power rankings. Again, we'll update these every single week based on play, every single Tuesday. Tuesday nights also have weekly pick'ems with my favorite videos for sure. I think a lot of you guys as well with the other guys that go down score predictions every Wednesday and a lot more. Always thinking of more stuff as well. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.